Trojan Sports Now.
Hello and welcome to Trojan Sports Now. I'm Danielle Percival.
And I'm Jonathan Sellers. Stick around as we bring you the latest news and scores from Troy Sports. The baseball team was only able to play 2 games at the Wawa Classic this weekend in Orlando, with the Sunday game being canceled due to a travel curfew. So the Trojans finished the tournament with 1 win and 1 loss. The Trojans defeated previously unbeaten Texas Tech Friday by a score of 10-3. The Sun Belt Conference preseason player of the year Logan Pierce had a career-high 4 hits while driving in 2 runs. And Garrett Pitts hit his first career home run. Will Starling got the win for the Trojans, his second on the year, as he pitched 5 innings and struck out 4. But on Saturday, the Trojans suffered their first loss of the season as they fell to the University of Connecticut 13-8. The Huskies were the beneficiaries of 5 unearned runs and 11 free base runners as the Trojans committed a pair of errors. Despite the mistakes, the Trojans tried to mount a comeback, scoring 6 runs in the final 2 innings. Pierce finished the game 3 for 5 with a pair of RBI and 2 runs scored. Shane McCain was charged with the loss for the Trojans after he allowed 2 runs on 3 hits in 2 innings.
On Friday versus Texas Tech, got a good start from Will Starling. It wasn't his best work because he was in trouble a lot, but on the flip side, he wiggled out of it and found a way to give us that quality start we needed. Then we moved in after that win against Connecticut the next day, and they played an extremely well.
The team hit the road again Tuesday night, and a couple of late errors in the bottom of the 9th cost the Trojans in this one. Alabama State won 4-3 after back-to-back errors by Troy on sacrifice bunt attempts. 2 wild throws allowed runners to advance, including the game-winning run. The Trojans got out to a 2-0 lead early in the game, but Alabama State took the lead on a controversial hit by pitch in the 6th. However, the Trojans would come from behind to tie it in the 8th inning. Tyler Vaughn was the lone Trojan to have multiple hits in the game, going 2 for 3, and Pierce extended his hit streak to 11 games. Well, the team then returned home for a midweek matchup with Jackson State, and while the offense may not have wowed the crowd, a new face certainly did. Justin McNelly has the story.
Making his first ever start as a Troy Trojan, freshman pitcher Levi Tate pitched 4 innings for the Trojans, struck out 2 batters. Oh yeah, and did not surrender a single hit as the Trojans went on to defeat Jackson State 7-2 on Wednesday night.
Well, I think it was a quality start for Levi. We were more interested in how he handled himself from a first career start standpoint, and would he be nervous and rattled. I thought he settled in and pitched pretty good for us tonight.
The Trojan offense, which has been hammering opponents, was nowhere to be found in the early stages of the game, so the ball was left in the hands of Tate and the Trojan bullpen to keep them alive, and they delivered.
I was able to command the ball, command my fastball. Just being able to control all 3 pitches is what's going to make any guy a good pitcher at the Sun Belt level.
Pitching staff, they've done a great job all year so far. I think they're going to continue to do a good job. Got a lot of senior leaders in the bullpen, on the mound out there, and those guys go out there every day and compete their tails off.
Trojan shortstop Garrett Pitts had a stellar night from the plate, going 3 for 3 and driving in 2 runs, and Josh McDormand added 2 hits as well. Left fielder Danny Collins blasted his second home run of the season in the 7th inning, and that unleashed the Trojan offense.
Danny Collins with the big 2-run homer there kind of opened the game up a little bit for us, and then a couple quality at-bats to follow that.
Well, I was struggling in the plate tonight, the slower pitching and whatnot, so I made a little adjustment at the plate and shortened my swing a little bit, and it paid off.
Senior pitcher Thomas Austin came on in the 8th and pitched the final 2 innings to seal the win for the Trojans and halted the 2-game skid. Tate with some kind words on the guys who back him up.
I'd put it up against anyone, and, they did a great job.
Justin McNelly, Trojan Sports Now.
Well, the other Diamond team on campus also ran into some scheduling problems over the weekend, but theirs were weather-related. Troy was scheduled for 5 games over the weekend at the Phyllis Rafter Memorial in Kennesaw, but only managed to get 3 games in. The Trojans lost their opener 9-1 against NC State, but returned Sunday with the big win. Hannah Wren and Amanda Winters each homered as the Trojans won 6-3 over Akron. JC Atfelt threw 6 strong innings for her 2nd win of the season. In their 2nd game of the day, the Trojans rallied from a 2-1 deficit to knock off Georgia State 8-7 in 8 innings. Troy scattered 9 hits, including 2 home runs in the comeback victory. Chandler Griffin led the way by picking up a career-high 3 hits and belting her first career home run against the Panthers. Wren had 2 hits, including another home run. Head coach Melanie Davis was proud of her team's efforts.
I don't think we pitched well or hit well against North Carolina State on Saturday, but then I think they responded really well. We didn't have a pretty win against Akron, but you know, you'd rather win pretty than lose ugly, and so we at least found a way to win early that morning, but then responded really well against a very tough Georgia State team. We came from behind twice.
And Thursday night, the Trojans took on 25th ranked Florida State and lost 12-6. The Trojans had come back from an 8-2 to make it an 8-6 game, but a Seminole grand slam blew it wide open. Wren homered once again, her 5th of the year, and added 3 RBIs in the loss.
Both basketball teams were in Jonesboro, Arkansas for the weekend. However, the Trojans did not have much success in Arkansas. The men's basketball team fell to Arkansas State 58-50 Saturday, despite a career night from Antoine Myers. Myers led the way for Troy with a career-high 21 points. The Trojans trailed big for the majority of the game, but cut the lead to 7 with under 2 minutes to play. But Troy wouldn't be able to get any closer as the Red Wolves hit their free throws to put it away. Myers shot 6 of 13 and was 9 of 11 at the free throw line. Hunter Williams was the only other Trojan in double figures with 10 points.
It was a very difficult loss. We shot poorly, but we really played excellent defense and hung in the whole time, cut it to 6 with 2 minutes left, had a chance to even cut it to 4, missed a wide open shot.
Thursday night, the Trojans returned home to begin the final homestand against the league-leading Blue Raiders. After an embarrassing loss in Murfreesboro, the Trojans showed up with something to prove. But it was Middle Tennessee who proved why they are the best team in the conference, holding off the Trojans 66-56. The Blue Raiders got out front early, but Troy kept the game close, and they were only down by 5 at the break. That was the closest they would get in the second half, however. You haven't heard this often, but Ray Chambers led the Trojans with 17 points and 8 rebounds. Head coach Don Maestri with his thought on the team's performance.
They're just an outstanding team. Our team tonight, now you got to understand, we got beat by 52. So in the back of your mind, you got a hurdle to overcome before the game even starts. And I think that was part of the shooting problem early on in the game.
And for the women this past weekend, they were unable to have any success in Jonesboro either, falling to the Arkansas State Red Wolves 71-49. Troy was led by Joanna Harden, who scored 20 points, marking her 13th straight game in double figures. Harden was the only Trojan in double figures, with Jasmine Pitts adding 8. With the win, Arkansas State remains tied for first in the Sun Belt West Division. The Trojans were down 13-0 before they made their first field goal, which was a Jasmine Pitts three-pointer 5 minutes into the game. Troy cut the lead to 12 early in the second half, but that was as close as the Trojans would get. Troy finished the game shooting just 28%.
They came out very aggressive, attacking the bucket, and we did not play well. We didn't have much production out of our post players that night as far as rebounding, and just overall didn't play well.
Thursday night, the Trojans were looking to complete the season sweep against the Blue Raiders. However, the Magic in Murfreesboro didn't carry over. 2 Trojans led the way in scoring with 12 points apiece, Joanna Harden and Dominique Ross. After being down by 25 at halftime, the Trojans reeled off 15 unanswered points and outscored Middle in the final frame. The biggest storyline from the game was Middle Tennessee's ability to hit just about everything from the three-point line. The Blue Raiders hit 17 three-pointers, including 8 from Courtney Jones, who led Middle with 29 points. The plan, according to head coach Shanda Rigby, was to shut down the inside game, and the Trojans succeeded, allowing only 22 points in the paint.
Other than a few breakdowns, we did take their post players out of being so dominant. Who was to know that everybody on their team would shoot so well from three-point line? Even people who haven't made threes all year made threes, and I'm going to give them credit. They did a great job. I think they were very focused on that. I think they realized that we kind of had their number on their inside game, and they came out here ready to shoot well.
On campus, the women's tennis team played host to Georgia Southern Sunday and won 6-1. Troy dominated the doubles point, sweeping all 3 matches, with the closest being 8-4. Caroline Grimmel won 6-1, 6-1 for the Trojans' first singles victory, and Olivia Brooke Durden clinched the match for Troy in the 6th-seed singles. Troy pushed its record back above 500 and is now 2-0 at home this season. And the men's team was scheduled to play Florida A&M Saturday, but rain led to that match being postponed. Troy had won the doubles point, but since the match was not rescheduled to be played within 24 hours, the score will not carry over. And the Trojan women's golf team entered the final round of play at the USA Women's Invitational in 6th place, but thanks to some impressive play, the Trojans finished the tournament in 3rd behind ULM and South Alabama. Senior Sophia Bjorkman played a big role in the Trojans' performance, shooting a 5-over par 77 in the final round, good for tying in 10th place. That marked her 5th straight top 10 finish this season. Langley Vanoy was the Trojans' next highest performer, finishing 13th with a 6-over par 78.
The rodeo teams began their spring schedule at the Cossatot Rodeo in Texarkana, Texas this past weekend, and their success from the fall continued. The women's team picked up its 3rd title of the season and enough points to move into 1st place in the Ozark region. The men's team finished in 5th place and saw an individual title from Nelson Wyatt in the calf roping competition. And the women's indoor track and field team was in action in Jonesboro this past weekend at the Sunbelt Conference Indoor Championships. Christina Barrett put the Trojans on the board first with a point in the high jump, and Bryn Forsyth followed that by finishing 7th in the weight throw with a season best and 2 more points for the Trojans. Jo Courtney Alexander ran a 57.51 and finished 6th in the 400-meter dash, good for 3 more points. The Trojans will now be moving forward into the outdoor schedule. And on the cross-country side of things, the women's team earned USTF CCCA All-Academic status for the 2012 season. The team completed the fall with a 3.35 cumulative GPA.
And still to come on Trojan Sports Now, it's another busy weekend on campus, including the final games of the regular season for both basketball teams.
So let's take a look back at the highlights from the inaugural game in Trojan Arena against Mississippi State. Stick around for more Trojan Sports Now.